All right, welcome back, everybody. You know, we've all been in that place of rediscovery, reinvention, openness to awareness. What might be possible? Let me bring Deirdre on now. Deirdre, there's a fantastic beginning of the interview there. Talk to me a little bit about your observations of what you saw taking place in Wendy's story there.
Well, I loved how Wendy worked through her story and then got into the reinvention. And that first part of it, the priorities, really focusing on what you want to bring forward. I think she drew out that is the North Star. That is such a big takeaway, Todd.
It really is. I like the openness to new discovery. And talk to me a little bit about that testing process. I thought that was extremely valuable because, like, I love how she said, sometimes family just has a little too much skin in the game. What are your
They
thoughts on that?
sure do. No, I agree 100%. The testing process is valuable because you don't want to jump right in. I mean, can you imagine you're taking a big step in your career? It gives you the ability to feel and to try and to change things. And as you go through these obstacles, it also gives you a chance to rethink and to rely on your coach to help you get through it. And Wendy explains that perfectly.
I love that's the value of a coach, having that unbiased, no skin in the game input, because a coach isn't necessarily going to tell you what to do. They're going to help lead you in that discovery process. But I think it's extremely important for us to understand that people are out for themselves. And so when we test ideas, we always have to keep in the back of the mind, what's in it for this person in the opinion they're giving. And I think that's what plays into the family is family doesn't want to take risk, or they've got you stuck in a box, or, and sometimes it's useful to them to have you stuck in that box. And so I just know, I know personally, and this may sound a little morbid, but it was when my parents passed away that I felt free to be myself. And as weird as that sounds, so I've witnessed a little bit of that feeling. Not that there was anything negative with my family. It's just it shines a light on that reality of just some people, they'll unintentionally just kind of want to kind of dampen things down.
I think that's influence. It speaks to every single person has influences around them. And when they see something, they're reacting to how they've been brought up and what they've experienced. And that's what you keep in mind, especially when you're reinventing.
I love that. So let's jump back into your conversation with Wendy, and she's going to talk through how do you see the aha moment. Here we go.
Wendy, you have interesting insights on reinvention and how you're helping people and even sharing your own reinvention. Thank you. Is there a moment that you can tell when someone has that aha? You just see it, they've gone through a process, and when you see it, how does that make you feel?
Well, I had the luxury of having a really clear aha moment. And sometimes when I tell my story to people, they want that clarity. And it doesn't always happen. And I have to say, it took me a long journey to get to that aha moment. And I don't think the aha moment is really the necessary aspiration, because it can be in short fits and starts, and that's fine too. It's just wonderful when I see someone willing to do the work and willing to test their ideas and actually get out of their head into action. And so it can be that they have an aha moment, but life doesn't always provide us with that. And that's not necessary to make a move.
And what about those shorter, I think you're speaking to shorter wins almost, going down the path and recognizing that, oh, this is working, or I like this, I feel better, I'm headed in the right direction. Do you see more of that, the shorter wins that validate that somebody's going down the correct path?
Shorter wins are essential in this process. There's a big overall goal that people are reaching for, but sometimes that can take a long time to realize. And so part of coaching, at the essence of coaching, is putting together a process that will help people feel sustained along the way. And the way to be sustained is giving yourself small, bite-sized, achievable wins. And that could be reaching out to 3 people in a week. That could be finding out what else is in the marketplace. That could be talking to someone who might be able to hire you. That in itself is a win, and it's essential. I'm so glad you asked that, because having small wins is just an essential component to staying resilient in the process. It's a long journey, and so you have to find the ways that you can feel good about what you're doing along the way, as opposed to just waiting for that final moment to go, I've made it.
Yes, no, that's a very good point. What happens when you're going down the path and you have a couple wins, but then nothing? Is there frustration? And when somebody does get frustrated because they can't see that far ahead, what do you tell them? How do you get them to be patient or to wait it out that it'll come?
Well, it depends on what they're learning. Sometimes the information is letting them know that this idea isn't going to work, but many times it's just putting their heads down and going through the process. It's hard for me to generalize that answer, because it really depends on what's going on. Now, when people are looking for a job, and a job search is just brutal for so many people, you're out there, you're being vetted, there's not always a connection between effort and results. And in that situation, they just need to have those small wins and keep going and keep going and keep going. In fact, one of the key mistakes I made during my job search was I was so frustrated that, first of all, I was in the situation. I mentioned being petulant about it. I was angry. I was annoyed. And that when I got a few no's right out of the gate for jobs that I knew I could ace, my ego was exploding. And I did something that I really, it was one of a key mistake that I caution people to do. I actually pulled myself out of the job search and just thought, okay, I'll do some writing and work on other things. And so if someone's in a job search in particular, that's when they really need to be sustained, to keep going, to hang in there. It'll happen.
Right. And Wendy, do you think there are any common fears around a reinvention or getting out there and just reigniting the current role that you have and doing something different? Anything that you see a thread of commonality here?
Fear of failure, embarrassment, shame. I think that's across the board. And particularly depending on what led you to this moment, you could be really vulnerable to begin with. And so you just want to succeed. And if it's taking a while, just fear that you're going to fall flat on your face. And you won't if you just keep doing the work.
Right. And just one last question, Wendy. What do you love the most about coaching?
I love getting to support people at this vulnerable time in their journey. And again, I bring to it having walked the path and understanding how support would have been a game changer for me. And sometimes it's dramatic, where I really help people have that aha moment and they do get to really have a complete reinvention, as I've done with many people. And other times it's just supporting them to get through the day to keep on pushing. And so every day I feel just absolutely privileged and honored to be on this journey with people, to help them realize their full potential and get to have impact in the world that's really meaningful for them.
Excellent. Thank you, Wendy. Keep helping people, and we appreciate your insights.
Deirdre, I love that conversation. Really, so let me highlight one thing to set things up. So when I've seen that aha, when I sit down with a client, I brief them ahead of time. I said, when you feel something, it's important you let me know, because there's a lot of times that aha, you can visually see it and the tears will run down a person's face. I said, but then when we say something and you feel all the weight fall off your shoulders, I need to know that too. That means we found something. But I think what Wendy said with these small wins, that's where real change comes, because we, just like a big ship, we are a big ship, but it's just going to be a bunch of little incremental changes that allow us to move forward. What are your thoughts on the small wins?
I call them the mini moments. So there's the big aha that we're all looking forward to and we want to happen, but so many moments in between. And I think that's what you said about recognizing and sharing, oh my gosh, this is a good moment. I feel something. I feel a little lighter. I'm smiling. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And whether it's in business you're using it or your personal life, we do come up with these big, lofty goals. And there's big goals and process goals. And having the process goals in place or for the short term wins helps along the path. And I think when you can do this, you allow yourself to be a little bit more vulnerable, and maybe you let your ego aside and it works much easier. So that's my take on the small wins and the ahas, but they're all meaningful.
They really are. And I think she even spoke about really pressing through the frustrating moments, because change is going to have frustration. Reinvention is going to have frustration. It's not like you just stand out on the stage and all of a sudden everyone's just going to start applauding. You've got to show, yeah, there's just all those little mini moments like you talk about, and you have to give patience to allow the process to really play out, because the first time you do it, you're going to need to make a little tweak, and then another
Right.
little tweak, and another little tweak. But if we lose sight with the frustration, like she said, she just gave up at one point. Oh, I'm not gonna be judged by anyone. I'm just gonna go. Yeah, I could feel that in her voice. No one's gonna judge me. I'm gonna judge them. I'm rubber, you're glue. And she, it's like, I'm just gonna get out of the process. And she literally got out of the process. And she said that's the biggest mistake she can make. All right, let's jump to the next segment here. All right, everybody, so stick with us. I love these discussions about this reinvention, but we're going to go into one of the tools that she used called the magic wand. Stick with us and let's talk through how we can use this magic wand and how it does create a new awareness that unlocks everything. Stick with us.